It's Monday, November 3rd, 2014. This is PSN News. Tonight we'll have the latest on the White House security breach.
We'll also have a live debate to prep you for Election Day, coming up on PSN News.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Gilbert.
And I'm Alexandria Brown. The Penn State community rallied together on Sunday to hold the 14th annual Fawn 5K. The 5K began with the kids' race and was followed by the competitive race, which was filled with participants in costume, and runners were able to take a picture with a cardboard cutout featuring the hashtag #RunWithUs. Over 7,000 people participated in the race, raising money and awareness for the Four Diamonds Fund. Four Diamonds covers various costs associated with pediatric cancer and provides funding for research to find a cure.
Penn State football player Ryan Kaiser's surgery is complete after the defensive captain was hospitalized at Hershey Medical Center last week. The safety was injured at practice 2 weeks ago with a fractured rib and bowel injury. The Penn State senior missed the last 2 home games and is expected to miss the remainder of the season. Head coach James Franklin told the media Thursday that Kaiser is doing extremely well. The Penn State team also lost Zach Swinak for the remainder of the 2014 season to injury.
4 Penn State football players have been charged with criminal mischief, according to Penn State police. Tight end Brent Wilkerson, reserve safety Anthony Smith, defensive end Garrett Sickles, and center Wendy Laurent were charged for throwing eggs at university buildings. The incident was reported at Beaver Hall on Thursday night. Coach James Franklin said on Saturday the incident would be addressed with the administration, the players, and their families.
On Wednesday night, the UPUA General Assembly confirmed the commencement of Mental Health and Wellness Week, which will involve a series of games, activities, and distinguished speakers. Beginning next week, the event serves to provide students with information on anxiety, mental illness, and how to handle stress. Distinguished speakers include Amber Chris, who will speak next Monday on the issue of eating disorders and body image, and Ross Zabo, who will discuss modern-day depression and suicide prevention on Wednesday. Also at the meeting, the General Assembly debated the selection process for filling a seat left vacant by an at-large representative who was removed due to absences. As of now, the legislation is being tabled until students finish applying for the new position.
Election Day is almost here, and the Berkey Creamery got a special visitor in anticipation of the big day. Here's Christina O'Connor with the story.
Where gubernatorial candidate Tom Wolf stopped by to garner support for the upcoming midterm elections on Tuesday. Wolf's campaign stop began with a meet and greet with supporters and ended with a brief press conference. His main talking point was the role of education in Pennsylvania's future.
Higher education is central to a strong economy. The ideas that come out of places like Penn State can do a lot to generate new jobs, new ideas, innovation in manufacturing. And I want to make sure that as if I'm elected governor, that I'm going to do what I can to make places like Penn State just hum, not only as centers of academic excellence, but centers for innovation of all sorts. I understand that some people talk about making this area the Silicon Valley of Pennsylvania. I think what we ought to be having is out in Stanford, Berkeley, that ought to be the Happy Valley of California.
Congressional candidate Kareth Strano-Taylor accompanied Wolf to the creamery and spoke with us about why she supports Tom Wolf for governor.
I am fully in support of him winning this race, and in addition to running my own, we're doing everything we can to make sure we see him elected, because elections have consequences, and this one should. It absolutely should. We did a rally a couple weeks ago, and there were some students out front waving signs, and someone asked me, what do you think about that? I said, well, I'm humbled, number one, and I'm overwhelmed by it, because when I was in school, I didn't run federal races. I did local stuff. I did student government and Model United Nations, right? The kids of your generation are stepping up and saying, this is our government, this is our country, you guys are working on presidential races and gubernatorial races and congressional races, and it's amazing and remarkable. So I'm appreciative of it, and I hope that every single one of us gets out and votes, right? We'd always love them to vote for us, but it's voting that is so crucial.
Reporting for PSN News, I'm Christina O'Connor.
It was announced on Friday that Center County residents selected for jury duty can now choose to donate their pay. When many jurors were not cashing in their juror checks, the county decided to explore other options. Jurors can choose not to burden taxpayers and donate the money back to the county, or they can choose to donate the money to one of 4 different local charities. Jurors are paid $9 a day, and from the third day on, $25 a day. Many residents say they are pleased with the option as it was an inconvenience to cash a $9 check.
Penn State has approved construction of a new general instruction building. Capable of housing any class or lecture, the building will be constructed on what is now a parking lot at the corner of Curtin and Shortledge Roads. The 117,000 square foot building has an initial budget of $51.3 million, but the cost is expected to surpass that amount. A subcommittee met to begin designing the building in April, but construction will not begin for at least 4 to 5 years from now. It will be the first general instruction building built since the Thomas Building, which was constructed in 1992.
Apple CEO came out with a big announcement last week. We'll have more after this.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year? The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year? The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Apple CEO Tim Cook came out as gay in an essay to Bloomberg Businessweek on Thursday. Within hours of the release, the announcement made headlines across the world. Cook is the first homosexual CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Unfortunately, not all headlines were positive, as a Russian official stated that Cook should be banned from the country for life. Russian politicians are known for scrutinizing the LGBT community and enforcing their anti-gay law, which bans non-traditional sexual attitudes.
The Washington Post reported on Thursday the White House computer networks have been breached by hackers hired by the Russian government. There is no evidence the hackers breached classified networks or damaged any U.S. systems. U.S. officials discovered the breach 2 to 3 weeks ago after receiving a tip from an unnamed ally. Russian hackers thought to be working for the government have targeted NATO, the Ukrainian government, and U.S. defense contractors in the past few weeks.
Britain announced on Friday it will pay back some of its debt used to fund World War I next year, redeeming bonds issued 90 years ago by Winston Churchill. The finance ministry said it will be redeeming $348 million in bonds. It is said to be a combination of symbolic redemption and trying to instill more confidence in long-term British bonds. Some of the debt that will be paid back can be traced all the way back to the Napoleonic and Crimean Wars of the 17th century, according to Finance Minister George Osborne.
Following a week of protests, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has suspended plans to introduce a new tax on internet usage. The tax would have ISPs pay for roughly 62 US cents for every gigabyte of data their customers use. Hungarians organized via Facebook to stage a protest last Sunday after the government publicly promised they would cap the tax at $2.90 a month for individual users. An even larger protest took place in Budapest on Tuesday, with tens of thousands of Hungarians marching while holding up their mobile phones. The European Commission also spoke out this week, stating that the move was a part of Hungary's drift towards authoritarianism.
2 young boys filed a lawsuit on Friday against the Malaysian government and Malaysian Airlines for negligence regarding the search for flight MH370. The father of the 11 and 13-year-olds perished on the flight after it mysteriously disappeared, resulting in every passenger's death. According to the plaintiffs, the airline did not fulfill its contractual obligation to deliver businessman Jijing Hang To to his destination, and the government did not try to establish contact within a reasonable amount of time. The country's immigration department is also being sued for letting passengers with fake documents on the plane.
We'll have a live political debate coming up. Stay tuned.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
They were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Get out to the forest.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Hey, guys, wait up!
And discover the wonders of nature with your family.
These trees are the key to our way of life.
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woohoo! This is great!
An endless forest adventure.
Let's rock this jungle!
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Michelle Wolf with our first ever on-air debate in preparation for tomorrow's election. Tonight I'm joined by Gabby Richards from Penn State's College Democrats and Michael Strahl of Penn State's College Republicans. Each is representing the candidates in Pennsylvania's gubernatorial race, Democrat Tom Wolf and Republican Tom Corbett. Tonight, each representative will be presented with a topic and will have to make a 30-second argument in support of their candidate's plan. Are you guys ready? Let's begin. Our first topic is education.
Well, first things first, education is one of those issues that we've unfortunately made a political issue. We've designated it a Democratic or Republican issue when in reality it affects everyone. And the biggest issue facing voters today is that there were several cuts made to education. There were several cuts, and that's one of the biggest issues facing voters today. Vote for Tom Wolf. He's going to put the money back into education, and don't vote for Tom Corbett because he cut roughly $1 billion in his time in the governor's mansion.
Well, that's simply not true. Governor Corbett has actually increased education spending over his term. It was actually in Governor Rendell's administration when education spending was shifted to other areas in state government, and he moved stimulus package money into the education department. And when education spending ran out and stimulus money ran out in the education department, it fizzled out, and the next governor that took over, which happened to be Governor Corbett, was left with a deficit. He then increased education spending. He also increased education spending for early educational development, and he also added tax credits.
I'm sorry about that. Our next topic is taxes.
Taxes is one of those issues where we need to meet in the middle. We need to find a way to work together, to use the money wisely, to put it into issues and to put it into programs that is mutually beneficial to not only Republicans, Democrats, and everyone in between. We need to be able to make up the money that we are losing elsewhere, and taxes is one of those ways. And the one thing that we need to remember is if you tax someone who makes $10,000 a year and you tax someone the same amount who's making over $100,000 a year, it's going to hurt a lot less for the person who's making $100,000 than it is for the person who's trying to make ends meet at $10,000 a year. Taxes is something that we need to use in the most efficient way possible. And yes, we need to increase taxes on the wealthy. That is bottom line.
I agree with Gabrielle that taxes should be a nonpartisan issue. However, I would like to first state that Governor Corbett has not increased taxes on anybody's income over his first term, and he's guaranteeing almost certainly that he would never increase taxes again in his second term. However, Governor Corbett did one increase in terms of the gas tax, and that was actually important because he increased money for transportation spending. And that was very important because now we have a new construction project out in 322, which actually will help more Penn State students, more people just get in and out of Happy Valley. That's a benefit, and it wasn't even an increase. It was actually an adjustment because of inflation of gas.
Okay, your next topic is healthcare.
Healthcare is one of those hot button issues that we've seen really take fold since, the passing of the Affordable Care Act. And Pennsylvania benefited from it greatly. We have, almost 300,000 people who wouldn't have had health care otherwise. And this is one of those issues that affects everyone. And Tom Wolf is going to ensure that we use the affordable health care plan laid out by the Obama administration in the most efficient way possible. Yes, do there need to be some ramifications made to the program? Absolutely, but it's the first progressive health care tackle that we've seen from the federal government in years. And Tom Wolf is going to ensure that Pennsylvania benefits from it in the most efficient way possible.
Well, you see, that's where we disagree because healthcare, actually, Governor Corbett created what's known as the Healthy PA plan, and the federal government, which is run by the Obama administration, actually supports the Healthy PA plan. And Tom Wolf actually opposes it and opposes several key points, including an area that the federal government has not approved yet but has endorsed, which is the change for Healthy PA individuals to be taken a certain amount off of Medicaid and putting the Medicaid money that is needed to people who actually need Medicaid.
Okay, our next topic is women's rights.
Women's rights is obviously an important issue. I would like everyone to know that Pennsylvania risks having zero female representation in Congress, what could be our fate if people don't get out and vote in this general election. We need to have a woman's voice in Congress. We need that representation, considering women only make up 18% of Congress, which is absolutely ridiculous, considering we are 51% of the state and almost 50-50 when it comes to the country's population. We need to focus on women's rights in healthcare, affordable contraception. We also need to focus on equal pay. Pennsylvania still has women making 79 cents on the dollar to men, which is absolutely absurd for the 21st century.
I agree with Gabrielle that the empowerment of women, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Both Republicans and Democrats agree on this. And in fact, Governor Corbett actually signed into law a bill that actually increases the safety standards for abortion clinics and also increases staff standards in abortion clinics as well. So there's one area where Democrats and Republicans are reaching across the aisle to help benefit women and empower women.
Okay, and last but not least, why vote?
Voting in this general election is one of the most crucial votes that those our age, especially college students, will be able to cast in the next few years. We are determining who is going to be representing us in Congress and who's going to be representing us in the governor's mansion. Pennsylvania has been failed by the Corbett administration. We have fallen to 53% to 53rd in job growth when it comes to other states in this country, and that is simply unacceptable. Pennsylvania is one of the leading states when it comes to progressive measures, when it comes to a progressive thought process, and we shouldn't be faltering from that because of the leadership that we are lacking both in Congress and in the governor's mansion.
First, I'd like to thank PSN for hosting this debate. It was very fun. First of all, I want to tell students that it's very important for you to get out and vote. Several consequential issues will be decided in this election, whether it's gun rights, women's issues, education spending, the balancing budgets in the Pennsylvania in the Pennsylvania budget, or just your roads in general with transportation spending. Therefore, I encourage you to get out and vote. Please vote for Governor Corbett, but just get out there, please.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you both for being here tonight. Polls are open tomorrow from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. PSN News will be right back after the break.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Jimmy can't sing, and Tommy can't dance, so we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hello everyone, I'm Christine Rienzo with this week's Sports Wrap-Up. A last-minute field goal was the difference in this past Saturday's football game. Here's Brennan Mays with the story.
Coming into the game riding a 3-game losing streak, the Penn State Nittany Lions look to right the ship against new conference rival Maryland. This is the first time that Penn State has played Maryland since Maryland has entered the Big Ten.
As it's been doing all year, the Nittany Lion defense was very tough. The Maryland rushing attack only managed 33 yards on 31 carries. Sam Ficken drilled a 48-yard field goal to give Penn State the 9-7 lead. Bob Schutt's defense did everything in their power to stay in the game. This is one of 6 sacks from the Penn State defense. But Maryland moved the ball well in the fourth quarter. A Brad Craddock field goal gave the Terrapins the lead at 20-19. And that's the final score. Penn State dropped to 4-4 on the season.
On the heels of yet another disappointing loss, The Nittany Lions look to right the ship against Indiana next weekend. From Beaver Stadium for PSSN, I'm Brendan May.
The Penn State women's ice hockey team returns to Happy Valley after a 2-game matchup against Syracuse this past weekend. The Nittany Lions went 0-1-1, losing their first game 3-1 and tying their second game 2-2. Sophomore Amy Peterson scored the single goal in Friday's loss. Freshman goalie Hannah Erisman made 50 saves in the second game with goals by Laura Bauman and Kelly Seward. They meet up next at Colgate this weekend for a 2-game set. The 12th-ranked Penn State men's soccer team fell 2-0 against 16th-ranked Michigan State. The Nittany Lions outshot the Spartans 12-6 and had 9 more corner kicks. Michigan State took the lead in the 22nd minute after scoring off a corner kick. The next goal came 4 minutes later. Penn State goalie Andrew Wolverton had 2 saves. The Nittany Lions will play West Virginia on Wednesday at home. The Penn State women's basketball team had a close match against IUP in an exhibition game yesterday. The Lady Lions came out on top, winning 75-71 against the Crimson Hawks. Players Lindsey Spann, Kalia Mitchell, and Jenny DeGraff all had double figures in points to add to the scoreboard. The team totaled 48 rebounds compared to IUP's 27 rebounds in the game. The first round of preseason begins on November 14th against Towson for the Lady Lions. The number 6 Penn State women's volleyball team shut out number 17 Ohio State in straight sets. Freshman Allie Franti led the offense with 14 kills, 5 blocks, 3 digs, and 2 aces. Senior Nia Grant and redshirt junior Ayanna Whitney each had 7 kills. The Nittany Lions left no room for Ohio State to come back, completing the sweep 25-18 in the third set. The Nittany Lions will travel to face Rutgers in Maryland this weekend. The Penn State men's ice hockey team beat out Bentley University in their 2-game set last week. Both games ended with the Nittany Lions winning 3-2. David Goodwin, Casey Bailey, Curtis Loic, Taylor Holstrom, and Eric Scheid scored goals for Penn State. Goaltender Matthew Scoff had a total of 57 saves for the 2 games. This is the Nittany Lions' 4th victory in a row. The Nittany Lions will play away against UMass Lowell in 2 weeks. We'll be right back after this.
Every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Is it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Some Penn Staters were put into a trance on Wednesday. Here's Hunter Hulbert with the story.
On Wednesday, the Student Programming Association invited Kevin Hurley, a renowned hypnotist and comedian, to Heritage Hall in the Hub Robeson Center. A hypnotist for 17 years, this event was one of many that he has performed at countless universities and corporate events throughout the country. The event drew quite a crowd, as many students wanted to see him hypnotize fellow Penn State students. We caught up with Kevin Hurley after the event to talk about how he became interested in hypnosis.
As a kid, I used to watch David Copperfield, who's in Las Vegas now, but he was really famous on television when I was growing up. And my dad kind of made me watch it, and then we went to a local magic shop, and I got a couple sleight of hand tricks and a couple books, and then I actually started performing through high school. I would do magic at bars, restaurants, private parties.
Jungle Tiger. Does it have a name yet?
Lucy.
Hurley says his favorite place to perform is Penn State University. For PSN News, I'm Hunter Holbert.
And that does it for us here at PSN News tonight for November 3rd, 2014. Thanks for joining us, and make sure to check us out on Twitter at PSN News.
And make sure to watch us every Monday night live at 7 p.m. Have a good night, and thanks for watching.